Hi, everyone. This is John Girardi with Right to Life Central California with another Right to Life reaction video. This is where our producer Colton finds some interesting clip media thing relating to the abortion issue that I haven't seen and shows it to me and has me yammer and give my commentary on it. So today we've got an appearance President Trump made. President Trump made a stop to a gathering of African-American journalists and sat down and took questions and had kind of a discussion, kind of a naturally hostile environment, likely, for the president, being a Republican, and African-American journalists seems like two more left-leaning entities. But apparently he had some comments about the abortion issue. So let's hear what he had to say.
Do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on the governor of Virginia. Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after it's born. They're allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well, Democrats have denied.
All right, so Trump is hitting at a couple of things here, and I think correctly. First, correct on supporting abortion into the 8th and 9th month. You ask Kamala Harris what restrictions on abortion she supports, and she can't say any. And for a while, Democrats used to support, there was this sort of half defense for banning abortions in the 3rd trimester that was sort of built into Roe. Basically, Roe v. Wade said in the 3rd trimester you can ban abortion, but you have to have an exception for any pregnancy that might threaten the mother's health. The problem was that the way that another Supreme Court case, that was the sister case of Roe, the way that it defined health was so broad that any pregnancy implicates maternal health. So liberals have sort of been able to eat their cake and have their cake and eat it too. They've been able to say, well, we don't like abortion in the 3rd trimester and it's illegal in this state unless it threatens maternal health. And every pregnancy threatens maternal health. So effectively forever, every Democrat has, or most pro-choice Democrats have supported effectively 40-week legal abortion. But what's happening now is that medical public policy advocates are trying even to get rid of that limited kind of language that you can have a 3rd trimester abortion if a doctor determines that it threatens maternal health. Even that they want to get away with. They don't like the language of fetal viability as like a dividing line there, because viability is a silly standard, which I agree with. And my view of it as a silly standard is that we should protect people regardless of which side of the line they're on. The pro-abortion view is let's abort people regardless of what side of the line they're on. So Trump's totally right about that. He's also totally right about letting babies die. Note that he said letting babies die after they're born. The objection from one of the journalists was, well, it's illegal to execute a baby after they're born. That's not what Trump was saying. What he's saying, and what is true, is that there's this non-zero number in America of babies who survive late-term abortion attempts where, and the former governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, talked about this, and Trump always brings up this example, that it's basically a situation of not providing the same level of care to a child who survives an abortion attempt that you'd give to a child who's wanted. And so letting children in those situations die of neglect. That is the stuff that Republicans have been trying to outlaw via bills that have been introduced in Congress consistently since, I think really since the Kermit Gosnell story broke in the mid-2010s, this Philadelphia abortionist who was delivering babies and then killing them. So I think Trump is actually right on here. He's targeting all of the most extreme aspects of the liberal abortion debate.
Right. And I think the Republican Party is actually much less. I think I've made them much less radical, perhaps. But the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservative, everybody wanted abortion brought back.
Trump tries to make this point a lot that, well, first of all, I think he's right that he's much more moderate on abortion more moderate than I would like, frankly. As a very consistent pro-lifer, I think he's tried to massively downplay the Republican commitment to the life issue in the most recent Republican platform, and I hope he doesn't take that too far, frankly. He is true. I think it is correct on his part that a state-by-state approach to abortion is going to lead to a much more moderate result. I think he's incorrect factually when he says that that's what people wanted. Liberals want abortion to be legal in all 50 states for any reason. They want abortions to be legal in Alabama. They want abortion to be legal in Texas. They are furious that Texas's state legislature or Alabama's state legislature has the audacity to ban abortion. So I think, I don't know if this is just a messaging thing from Trump to kind of try to appeal to moderates on this issue. But I don't think most liberals certainly want it to be a state-by-state thing. And frankly, from my perspective, I don't want it. I want abortion to be, I want life to be protected everywhere. So anyway.
Back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it, everybody.
But the majority of Americans oppose Roe v. Wade being overturned.
They don't know about this. Right now, they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now, I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing, out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting. And it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on. And
you know, that is a major outcome of the Dobbs case that he's kind of correctly identifying. That there was, I think, this fury, or maybe fury is too strong, but this deep frustration and resentment on the part of so many pro-lifers that, you know, obviously the priority is saving the lives of children from being killed. But the fact that because of Roe, the abortion question was taken out of the hands of legislatures, that you couldn't really, legislatures could not pass normal laws to say abortion will be illegal after this point in pregnancy. Abortion will be illegal in the 3rd trimester. Abortion will be illegal after the 1st trimester. Abortion's illegal after heartbeat can be detected. You couldn't pass laws like that because the Supreme Court, off the top rope, had jumped in and said the Constitution itself mandates legal abortion and no state can have any law otherwise, which just, there was nothing about it in the Constitution. It's impossible to read that into the Constitution with any sort of sense of the historical tradition of the kinds of legal rights the Constitution was protecting. And so while obviously I think Trump is more of a let people decide, I do think there's something to be said for what he's saying here, that at the very least, people can do something and the actual viewpoint of the electorate has something to do with the outcome. Maybe that's preferable. At the end of the day, though, I mean, I think the lives, the value of human beings' lives shouldn't be left up to a popular vote. But it's a better situation than being mandated by the Supreme Court that, no, you can never do anything to protect these children's lives.
And they're voting. And many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Most people believe in the 3 exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions. But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly...
This is a couple of, you can see these very consistent talking points that Trump is hitting on every single time he is presented with the abortion issue. Firm about abortions in the 3rd trimester, because he knows it's only like 15% of America supports 3rd trimester abortion. So he knows he's on totally safe ground. He also keeps saying, follow your heart, because I think he realized, you know, he brought up the vote in Ohio on abortion. So here's Ohio. It's now a pretty solidly red state it reelected its Republican governor by like 20 points. It just voted to legalize abortion. In the same election where they reelected a Republican governor by 20 points, they voted overwhelmingly to put a legal right to abortion right in their state constitution. So I think Trump is trying to win here. And I think he thinks the abortion issue, the pro-life side, is a loser. And so he's trying to sort of lay it out as, hey, I'm Roe v. Wade getting overturned puts it in the states' hands. The states are going to do this. You got to do what you think is right. You got to follow your heart. And I got to say, I hate the follow your heart language. I wish he could say, I believe that abortion is wrong. The individual states are going to decide this how they want. But at the end of the day, I think the federal government needs to get out of this. And the problem, though, is that it's not going to end there. Eventually, if he gets elected, he's going to have to decide, am I going to support federal funding for abortion or am I going to cut off federal funding for abortion in a whole host of different areas? So
I don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do, meaning what do? We execute the baby. That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question?
So there you go. I think it was a good distillation of the main Trump points. He's going to be super firm about third trimester abortions. He's not going to say much about, first trimester abortions. And I guess that's the thing that it makes me a little nervous. There are a lot of late-term abortions in America. You're talking about 80 to 90,000 of them per year. That's a huge number. Most abortions aren't late-term, though. Most abortions are first half of pregnancy. And we're talking about 900,000 abortions in that category. So what are we doing for those? Again, Trump seems to be saying, I'm not going to pursue some federal policy about it. But the thing he is going to have to decide, and he sidesteps it because these journalists don't know enough about abortion policy to actually pin him down on it. He's going to have to decide, all right, what am I doing with abortion funding? What am I doing with the regulation of the abortion pill? Those are the two issues where he actually can exercise some influence, and he's been very coy about what he's going to do. Now, I think some people reasonably say probably he's just going to do all the same things with abortion funding he did in his first term, and most of them were good. He cut off abortion funding in a lot of different areas. Maybe he'll just do the same thing. The abortion pill is another question, though. Whether he's going to have the will to actually roll back restrictions on the abortion pill, because I genuinely believe President Biden's deregulation of the abortion pill, letting it be sent through the mail, that's been the biggest driver of the huge increase in abortions we've seen over the last 4 years, up from about 900,000 a year in 2020 to about 1 million per year today. So I thought this was pretty strong by Trump politically. Notice how he completely flipped the question on the interviewer where she was like, do you think Republicans are too judgy to being Democrats are totally radical about abortion? Which was very effective on his part. He doesn't accept the terms of debate that are given to him. So I thought that was politically savvy, but I think it still leaves some questions unanswered about what's going to happen in a future Trump administration should it come to that.